Hi, my name is Kayleen Asbo. I first fell in love with Dante when I was 17 years old during a very dark period in my life. I was lucky enough to hear the story aloud from a gifted storyteller, and it seized my imagination and it gave me a lifeline during a very, very difficult and trying period. Well, it's been almost 30 years since that first encounter, and I have to say that Dante has been someone who has watched over me. He's been my guide the way that Beatrice was his, and I can't wait to share him with you. Because the Divine Comedy, as difficult as it is for so many people, especially in English, to get through, is a story that can change lives. It has ignited the imagination of such extraordinarily diverse people as Franz Liszt and William Blake, Salvador Dali, and Auguste Rodin. Primo Levi in a concentration camp says that it actually saved his life. And there have been countless numbers of artists, poets, musicians, who Dante has stood as a beacon of light, inspiring their imaginations throughout the centuries. This comedy is a vast and thick and difficult book to get through, but I want to share it with you the way that it first came to me, through the inspiring story and through extraordinary images throughout history. Just as one example, something that shows that Dante is all around us and yet we don't know it, is that this is probably one of the most famous and recognizable sculptures in the entire world. Most of us know it by the name The Thinker, but that's actually a nickname. Its real title was The Poet. And Rodin was crafting here in this image the very depiction of Dante brooding and coming up with his majestic masterpiece. You can find the thinker, or the poet again, sitting here at the gates of hell, which if you go to the Cantor Museum at Stanford University, or go to the Rodin Museum in Paris, you will find. You will stand, about here underneath this towering masterpiece, and what you'll be looking at when you look at this is Rodin's lifelong labor to bring Dante's imagination to visual light through his sculpture, through his incredibly intricate, erotic, and tortured depiction of the characters that Dante meets in the Inferno. This is just one example of how Dante has seized upon the visual imagination of so many people. In fact, the poet T.S. Eliot has said that Dante needs to be experienced visually, which is exactly what we'll do in this class. I'll tell you the story, but we'll also look at these incredible images, Blake, Dali, Gustave Doré, to help guide us through this epic adventure. Along the way, we'll pause for personal reflections about how Dante's themes actually reflect aspects of our life. Because this poem, it wasn't just written for the 14th century. It's something that's eternal. It touches on these grand, vast, and perennially relevant themes like how do we get stuck in our life and what do we do to find our way out of situations where there seem to be only dead ends? And what's the difference between love and enmeshment? And what are the ways that we fool ourselves as human beings and lead to dead ends there? How do we find community? Where is truth and meaning to be held? And how is beauty to be a guide for us to find our deepest truth? These are questions that are relevant to every age, important whether you find yourself to be spiritual, atheist, or somewhere in the middle as a questing seeker. And I hope that through this course, you too will fall in love with this story. It was a poem that actually found the very foundations of the Italian language. If you remember in Eat, Pray, Love, there is the story that the Italians asked themselves as they were coming up with their common language, what is the most beautiful? What is the most beautiful thing that has ever been written? And the dialect they decided on was the one that Dante used, because they said nothing could match the eloquence, the power, and the beauty of the Divine Comedy. We're going to take a journey together in 6 weeks to touch this beauty, to touch these eternal themes, and hopefully it will open up a doorway to shine light and hope and delight into your life. Please join me for my Dante class, Wednesday mornings at the Osher Lifelong Learning Institute at Sonoma State University. Hope to see you there.